Good afternoon to you. Sir, History category, sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Central Tribal University of Andhra Pradesh, Dr. Sridevi, Dr. Anirudh, Dr. Divya, their colleagues in Indira Gandhi National Tribal University, America. All my dear colleagues from this university, students, ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to participate in this function today, and I thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor Kategori sir, for giving me a wonderful opportunity to translate his book, Jangli Kulapatiya, Jangi Gate, into English. And in fact, I have been translating this book for the last 2 years. For some reasons, I couldn't complete the task. I decided to sit in a place and complete the translation. And sir called me to this place. I came here 15 days ago and sat in a room in a hotel, translated this book into English once again. Never in my life I sat at a place for 15 days and worked on a single book. I spent all my waking hours, minimum 16 hours a day, reading this book, translating this book, and engaging with this wonderful memoir of his. I like the book for many reasons, because in some sense, I was an eyewitness to what happened in IGNTU between 2015 and 2018. And all of them were also eyewitnesses. Number two, I was in some sense part of all that Professor Kategori has written in his book. So I have some personal liking, and I also like the book because it has come out very well. The book has both historical and contemporary relevance and significance. And 15 days, as I said, I spent all my waking hours with this book. I read this book for minimum 3 to 4 times during the last 15 days and translated the book line by line, word by word. And for some words, I struggled for half a day to find the exact meaning. For some words, I struggled for half a day. You should remember that for a single word, I studied for half a day. And I was very glad when I found an equivalent word, the one that he used in the book, Jangli Kulapatiya, Jangi Gate. And it is one of the best sellers in Kannada, and it has already been translated into as many as 5 languages: Telugu, Tamil, Hindi, Malayali, and I think Marathi. And this book is getting translated into several other Indian languages. So I'm sure that in a couple of years to come, this book will get translated into all Indian languages. And now I have done this book into English, and I'm sure that the English readers will receive this book. What I will do is, for next 20 minutes, I will read some extracts from the book. If required, again I will make one or two observations and call it a day. The title of the first chapter of this memoir is Dream, Dream, Dream. In Kannada, it is Kanaso, Kanaso. And I really found it very difficult to translate this Kanaso, Kanasu into English. I did some research. I consulted Shakespeare also. Finally, I found this line: Dream, dream, dream. Kanaso, Kanasu. Full of dreams, full of dreams. I spent as many as 27 years with Professor Kategori sir. I know how great a dreamer he is. He is a builder of universities. He built one university in Indira Gandhi National Tribal University in Amarkantak, and he is building second university now and he can build many more universities. So I call him a builder of university. Katti Mani, you have this word in his name itself. Okay, so he is a builder and he is a dreamer. And it's only a dreamer who can build an institution and who can build a nation. One has got to be a dreamer. So he is a dreamer, he is a great dreamer. And the title of the first chapter is Dream. I'll read this chapter in 10-15 minutes and one or two abstracts from 2-3 chapters. There is a quote in the beginning. It's not there in Kannada, but in English it's there. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Hamlet, William Shakespeare. Amarkantak, a town in the eastern part of Madhya Pradesh, is known for its natural resources. This is the birthplace of Narmada River. Apart from Narmada, it is also the birthplace where the Son and Juhla rivers originated. The forest of this land has given birth to and conserved unique vanaspati, medicinal plants in our country. There are evidences to prove that Lakshagraha incident, the house of Lakha of the Mahabharata, took place here. Presently, Lakshagraha, where the house of Lakha was set on fire, is in Allahabad district of Uttar Pradesh. This is where Shabari of the Ramayana offered Jujubi to Sri Ramachandra. This is a land of unique tribes as well. A large number of Gond tribe lives here, and the Baiga tribe lives in the dense jungle of Amarkantak. The settlements of the Saharia, the Agaria, the Panika, and the Kon tribes can be seen at many places in this land. The Chanakmar reserve is located here. Tigers also dwell here. The state of Chhattisgarh was formed out of Madhya Pradesh, the biggest Indian state. The state boundary line is drawn on either side of Amarkantak. A good road, this I believe. I assumed charge as the second Vice Chancellor of this university on 15th January 2014. The university is located on Shadol Road, 20 kilometers away from Amarkantak, and spread across 374 acres of land surrounded by a compound and a ring road with prefabricated offices and residences. The beautiful bungalow known as Pout Bungalow in Amarkantak was converted into the Vice Chancellor's residence. That day, I received a warm welcome from the university staff. In my speech, I admitted that God has given me privileges and opportunities that I don't really deserve, and I must be thankful to Him for that. Grijesh was the personal secretary of Vice Chancellor. He took me upstairs of the Paul bungalow and pointing to a room said, "It's your bedroom. It's your bedroom, sir." The room was dusty. The room was dusty and filled with weird smell. The carpet in the bedroom was torn at many places and the holes on the carpet filled with dust. When I inquired about the worst condition of the bungalow, Girjesh replied, "No one stayed here, sir, for last 6 months. You can stay in a hotel till it is repaired and made habitable." I rejected his suggestion and decided not to stay in a hotel. I told him, "No, I will stay here." I tried to sleep in the room, but I couldn't sleep properly. The sleepless night was filled with anxiety and it drew me to my past. I remembered the journey of my life which began from Alavandi, Gadag, Dharwad and Hyderabad and finally reached Amarkantak. Remembering the magical power of Indian democracy, I cried many a time. Should a Talwar Venkatapa's son from Alavandi become the Vice Chancellor of a central university? I still wonder how could a boy who stayed in an SC/ST hostel without paying room rent and hiding from authorities become a Vice Chancellor? Who meaninglessly spent his boyhood days, who worked as a cowherd, a laborer, a dung cleaner, and a thief stealing groundnuts and cotton, become the Vice Chancellor of a Central University? I was haunted by such disturbing thoughts. Even the strong chilly wind as Amarkantak, chilly wind of Amarkantak didn't allow me to sleep. I kept tossing and turning in my bed, but failed in my efforts to sleep for the whole night. It was a scary and dreadful night for me. A couple of questions like, have I really become a Vice Chancellor? Is this a dream or a reality? Haunted me all night. I could not believe that I had become a Vice Chancellor. All of a sudden, I remembered a poem by Siddhalingaya, a Kannada Dalit poet. Make the ways for Dalits. Make the ways for Dalits. Leave the chair for Dalits. I remembered my parents. My father had a great trust in me. He truly believed that I was really a talented boy, blessed with intellectual capacities. It was my very unfortunate that my father died of cancer when I was still pursuing my BA second year. After my father died, my mother shouldered all the responsibilities until I got a job. I brought my mother to Dharwad when I settled down. She took personal interest in arranging my marriage. I never imagined that I might lose my mother in such a very short time. In 1990, my mother died of a heart attack. My mother had great trust in me than my father. She used to say, "You should have been born to a king. It is your misfortune that you were born to us." This is the only thing she knew to praise me and my wisdom. I lost myself in all such memories on the night of the first day as Vice Chancellor. The bell in a nearby temple that rang in the wee hours of 4 a.m. in the morning brought back to the reality. I knew that I should develop the institution that stopped growing at the initial stage itself. I must take the teaching and non-teaching staff into confidence and motivate them and instill the taste of studies and research in the students. It was a very rural and backward region. Getting transferred to Eastern Madhya Pradesh was viewed as punishment. The poor quality food, the contaminated drinking water were the reasons why the government employees didn't wish to be transferred to this place. Tribes constituted half of the population of this region. Although Brahmins lived in many places here, they were not better than the tribes in terms of economical growth and access to quality education. Commerce was fully controlled by the merchant class. The feudal disputes were politically very strong. The first Vice Chancellor of this university was from a Rajput family, and his influence was quite visible on the employees. I had the responsibility of building this institution and making it to serve the purpose for which the government of India established the Tribal University at Amarkantak. I had my own dreams and plans about the physical and academic growth of the university. This particular university was mainly meant for the tribal students. I thought the tribal art, the tribal culture should be reflected in its architecture, and the tribal culture, tribal knowledge system should be suitably inculcated into the syllabus of all educational programs. The walls must be adorned with the tribal art and paintings. The buildings and the roads of the university should be named after historical and tribal icons. Annual tribal festival should be organized to attract the tribes across the globe to inspire the tribal students to seek admission to various programs at the university. The tribes are the lovers of liquor, music and dance is a romantic speculation propagated by the Western scholars. I repeat this line. The tribes are the lovers of liquor, music and dance is a romantic idea or speculation propagated by the Western scholars. It is true that all the tribes across the world love to drink, sing and dance, but their love of liquor has taken its toll on the lives of the tribes. The matter needed to be thoroughly examined. Our university must study the historical background of this problem and provide scientific solutions to it. We must open academic departments to save and promote the tribal music, drama and art. I had to form a students forum and the teachers forum to invite the musicians, dramatists and artists from the tribal communities to the university and organize their artistic performances. It would introduce the art of the tribes to the university stakeholders, and at the same time this would help the artists earn a small income. The primary motto of the tribal university was to study the cultural differences between the tribes and modern life. The tribes who bow their heads in front of the trees and who feel sorry for climbing trees to pluck fruits, and modern men who mercilessly use bulldozer to uproot the plants and trees should become a major concern for the university. This is an important observation that he has made. The tribes possess the essential knowledge required for the development of the nation. They express it in their own language. The tribal knowledge system must become a part of the curriculum of the tribal university. The people dwelling in cities must study the legacy of the tribal knowledge system. Such studies not only help in protecting forests, but also in the development of forest and converting a dry land into a green zone. The tribes were the teachers in their own way. They were experts in various branches of knowledge. Their knowledge of agriculture, science, forest, herbal medicine, and of animals could enrich the curriculum of the tribal university. To protect the nation, it is essential to protect the tribes. Tribes must be considered as the real inheritors of the legacy of Indian knowledge system. Our university should consider the tribal knowledge system handed down from generation to generation, which was now available in the form of oral literature as original knowledge system. I decided to make the syllabus and the pedagogy of the university tribal oriented, and the tribalness should be tangibly visible in the entire academic and research activities of the university. Moreover, the academia must understand the significance of this rich tribal knowledge reservoir and make the best use of it in today's context. It was as good as the knowledge acquired through books and laboratories for which millions of rupees was being invested. Once upon a time, various tribes ruled many provinces across the nation. They fought against the Mughals and the British till their last breath for freedom. The British humiliated them. It is devastating to know that the tribal heroes were tied to the cannons and blasted. But such records are not found in the annals of history. The tribal university must record the history of tribes. We can find stories of the brave tribal struggles in tribal languages in the form of ballads and folk tales. On priority, the tribal history should be recorded and printed. I wanted my university to become an international center for academicians interested in tribal studies and research. There are many tribal languages. There are as many tribal languages as are tribal communities, according to one of these studies conducted. But they are on the verge of extinction. If a tribal language becomes extinct, it is not just the tribal language that is lost, but it is the whole culture that is lost. The universities in the country should document such tribal languages to prevent them from extinction. In conclusion, the tribes should lead the city dwellers onto the path of progress and development. This is the first chapter of this book. The title of this chapter is conversion and Christianity. Conversion and Christianity. According to the census, there are 100 million tribes living in India, 10 crores. In the eastern states like Assam, Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Tripura and Arunachal Pradesh, the tribes live in a large number. The university should conduct research on the mass conversion to Christianity in these states. Why were the hilly people prone to conversion? Did they get converted, or were they lured and forced to conversion? Why were only the tribal people converted in large numbers? What were the reasons for converting only the tribes to Christianity in states like Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha and Kerala? No significant study was conducted to find out the programs launched by our religious and social organizations for the improvement of economic, educational and health conditions of the tribal people living in hilly areas. What were the reasons for not taking the mass-scale conversion of tribes to Christianity into consideration? It was of absolute necessity for our society to take such issues seriously and evolve a mechanism to effectively deal with the problem so that mass-scale conversion of our innocent tribes in the hilly areas would come to an end. And second paragraph, there was a reason for such an elaborative introduction. Indira Gandhi National Tribal University had a notorious gang called the Law Allergy Gang. They had special training in spreading slander. Slander means rumors. They hated tribal men but secretly loved tribal women. They wanted jobs in the tribal. They wanted jobs for their wives. They wanted jobs for their sons-in-law, and they also wanted jobs for themselves. Once they got jobs, they harassed the tribal people in every possible way. When I was a child, I watched a play called Satya Harishchandra. Karataka and Damanaka were characters who troubled Harishchandra throughout the play. The Law Allergy Gang, let us call it gang from now on, was troubling me like Karataka and Damanaka. When the Congress party was in power at the center, they called me Kattimani is a Chaddi man, a Pakka RSS activist. They campaigned everywhere. Within a few months of my becoming the Vice Chancellor, the BJP came to power at the center. The gang changed its slogan and started calling me a communist and a Christian. A few members of the notorious gang went to the extent of saying that I am not a tribe at all. The tribal university was like a cow herd for the people of this gang. People who grazed when it was hot and slept when it was warm. They were the ones who attacked the university because they were not allowed to enter into the cow herd called BHU. Mr. Parishad, a young BJP member, came from Amarkantak to my residence and said, "There is an important matter to discuss with you. I have received a complaint against you." Answer is, "Then send it to the government and get an inquiry instituted against me," I said. "Before taking this step, I have come here to discuss with you. You are a converted Christian, aren't you?" He asked me curiously. It was the time for breakfast. I escorted him to the dining table to have breakfast with me. My wife had prepared the breakfast, and the puja room could be seen from where we were sitting. On seeing that, he said, "What, sir? You are a staunch Hindu?" I just smiled and kept quiet. He had seen me coming to Narmada temple regularly with my wife. He met me in the temple many a time. Still, he asked me whether I was a Hindu or a Christian. Even if I got angry, I tolerated it. Although I didn't ask him, he only said, "Such and such a senior professor told me about my imagined conversion to Christianity. I didn't show any interest in it." In 2013, during the time of the appointment of Vice Chancellor for IGNTU, the search committee visited Amarkantak to collect opinion on the appointment of a Vice Chancellor. No tribe should be appointed as the Vice Chancellor of this university because they are born drunkards. They drink liquor as they rise from bed in the morning. They have not inherited educational training and tradition. They don't have the decency and humility in their DNA, and above all, they lack in culture, said Mr. Lambuzi. Lambuzi is an interesting character in this memoir. You will have to read the whole memoir to understand who this Lambuzi is and what he can do or what he could do. An interesting man, and you can meet a man like Lambuzi everywhere and anywhere. Said Mr. Lambuzi, a member of the law allergy gang, at a meeting with the stakeholders and the faculty convened by the search committee. I was the only tribe who was shortlisted, and the previous Vice Chancellor was also in the race to try for second term. The law allergy gang was a close relative of the former Vice Chancellor, a fact that I discovered after I joined IGNTU as a Vice Chancellor. Thus, the law allergy gang used the false weapon of propaganda to tarnish my image. To break the strength of this gang, I recruited the faculty and non-teaching staff on a war footing. The gang spread rumors the Vice Chancellor had recruited 40% Christians and Muslims in the university. The daily work of this gang was to send fake emails to hundreds of people through fake email addresses, write for newspapers, and troll on social media. Just for information, I would like to give the following statistics to show how honest work could be portrayed as a crime in this country. I recruited 109 teachers. Among them, 4 were Muslims and 5 were Christians. Out of 5 Christian teachers selected, 2 were tribals and 1 was Dalit. This meant 90% of Hindus were recruited as teachers. For the non-teaching positions, 86 people were appointed, of which 1 was a Christian, Manipur Center, and 3 were Muslims, and the rest were Hindus. The birth character of this gang was to threaten the wise and brave students and provide all facilities illegally to the students of their liking. A few relatives of this law allergy gang who were in the Sangha tried to convey the Christian agenda of the gang to the important leaders of the Sangha. With the help of their caste, their relatives, their non-officers and judges, the law allergy gang did not leave any stone unturned to tarnish the image of the university. Looking at the gang, I said, why should I alone work honestly? Why should I alone work honestly as if I am wedded to honesty? Why should I alone work honestly as if I am wedded to honesty? Like others, why shouldn't I also take and give them their share, live happily and retire comfortably? But my inner self told me that it was my duty to protect the university from the law allergy gang and develop it to the fullest extent possible. This inspired me to work for the growth of the university with a renewed force. The title of this chapter is Bharatiya Shikshana Mandal. I'll read one or two paragraphs from this. There are interesting observations of Katipeni Saab on tribes in this chapter. So, the context is Professor Katipeni Saab attends an international seminar organized in Chhattisgarh by Professor Sachidanand Joshi, the Vice Chancellor of Kusha Babu Thakre Journalism and Mass Communication University, Raipur. In the Nagpur meeting, I delivered a talk on the tribal religion and the tribal faith. Some of my opinions and views were bitter truth for them. For example, those who spoke before me emphasized that the tribes were backward and we should bring them into the mainstream and protect them as well. The tribes don't want to possess the unnecessary things which we do. We talked about it in the beginning. They don't believe in Sangraha. They believe in Asangraha. Sangraha means to collect. Asangraha means to distribute or not to collect. So the tribes don't want to possess the unnecessary things we do. They don't buy everything they see. We who keep on buying what we don't need should learn from the tribals what contentment means. When it comes to the mainstream society of India, I don't know whether we are a mainstream society or the tribes. There is no space for dowry system in Indian religion, but dowry is practiced in our mainstream society. Giving and taking dowry is a sign of prestige. Dowry death and dowry related violence are still reported occurring in our mainstream society. In Hinduism, woman is a symbol of respect, sacrifice and love. Among the tribal people and among the 10 crore tribes of the country, we don't find even one tribe who either gives dowry or takes it. Instead, there is a custom of bride dowry in the tribal society. When I said the tribes practice what is called bride dowry system, the whole audience clapped. I continued and said, the system of giving bride dowry is prevalent in the tribes across the country. The tribes have preserved and nurtured the Indian tradition. Thus, the tribal people are mainstream Indians. You and I don't have the Indianness in us, and we remain Indians only on paper. How can we be called a mainstream society? We have to learn from the tribal people and become a part of Indian mainstream society. I concluded. These were the new ideas for most of the participants. It was like breaking the mold for the scholars present there. In my speech, I had claimed I am a tribe. I was very candid in my presentation. It was a natural expression, no need to hide anything from anyone. In a way, there was no need to lie. Saying that you are an Adivasi in an open meeting is a cultural atrocity, a woman told me later. It is not that only I declare that I am a tribe, all openly claim it, I said. No, not like that. Many people hide it and will not get into controversial issues, she said. What that Thai Sahib, mother, Thai in Marathi means mother. What that Thai Saheba said was true. Ambedkar's writings gave me this courage. I wanted to say, but I couldn't say that. At lunchtime, one person asked me, since when have you been associated with the Sangha? This is the only question they could have asked me. I replied, I have come into contact with the Sangha since today, not before. He immediately said, no problem. I looked at Sri Mukund. Even after hearing all this, he was enjoying his meals as if nothing special had happened. Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal is an educational wing of Rashtriya Swayam Sevaka Sangha. Professor Sachidanand Joshi was its national president, and Sri Mukul Kanitkar was the national organizing secretary, who was a full-time Sevaka, a celibate. That day I attended the meeting and observed the audience. One or two extracts from the chapter, Localization of a National University. My main objectives were develop a township around the university and establish a petrol bunk, cinema hall, shopping mall, good restaurants, separate private hostels for men and women, houses for rent, hotels with good mess facility and entertainment centers. The people who heard me say it were puzzled. Will the tribal culture survive if all of it comes up? What if this leads to an intense exploitation of innocent tribes? Yes, it was a genuine fear, and even I had it. But the tribes were changing. Everyone had a mobile phone, a two-wheeler, and they were painting their houses with the lime and color. All these radical changes took place only after the university was established. A growing township would provide more employment opportunities to the tribes. We must train them to open hotels. A new generation of educated tribes was coming up. If only the opportunities of modern work culture were introduced to them, they would stay back in the forest and take care of their parents. This is very important. The students have to pay a lot of attention to this. I repeat it. If only the opportunities of modern work culture were introduced to them, they would stay back in the forest and take care of their parents. If not, they would move to the city in search of jobs and better facilities. The second objective was to motivate and retain the talented faculty in the university. The best faculties were engaged in teaching and research in our university. Some had research experience in foreign labs, and some published their research papers in the most widely read magazines in the world like Nature. There were faculties who took up joint research projects with reputed foreign labs and universities. Their wives were born and brought up in big cities, and they were all well-educated, modern young women who were spending their time in the forest with their little children. How long could they stay here? It bothered me every day. Given a chance, they would wish to shift to cities. The employees who came to me with job applications went back disappointed when I told them my firm decision not to forward their applications for jobs in other institutions. I neither forwarded anyone's application nor granted leave or deputation. Resign if you wish to join any other university was my stern response to any faculty coming to me requesting for forwarding their applications, and I used to write the same in the files. Some resigned and went away. Some wrote letters against me to the government. My only insistence was, this is a tribal university, you must serve here for 10 years after joining the university, and you should not treat this university as a launching pad to get a better and higher placement. It was not a job that you are doing here, it is a mission, it is like serving the nation. If anybody brought pressure, I would argue that I would resign, but would not allow the good faculties to leave this university. That's how he retained all of us in ICNTU, and when he left the university,
They came in.
they came here. They came here and they went elsewhere in search of Professor Katiman. This is an interesting incident. I must read it. You will understand how Professor Katimani feels about the tribe, okay, and how he takes pains to help the people who are in trouble, who are in problem. A middle-aged man from Haratola would meet me every day during my morning walk and pester me to give him a job. Because of my fear, the security personnel did not do anything to Lal Singh. What kind of job could be given to a 40-year-old illiterate person? One day I asked him, would you like to do some business? To which he replied, yes sir, but what business can I do? I motivated him to sell roasted groundnuts with shells on bicycle. From the next day, he brought groundnuts on a bicycle and sold it between 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. I was the first person to buy groundnuts worth 100 rupees from him on the first day of his business. Thereafter, he started making net profit of 500 rupees per day. Later, Lal Singh could afford to buy good clothes and a new bicycle and became a celebrity in his own right. And what about this book is full of such benevolent events and incidents and experiences. One day, Mr. Shivarathan, a former Sarpanch of Lalpur, came to me with an application in his hand and requested me to appoint his son as a security guard in the university. I inquired about his educational qualification. Shivarathan informed me that his son had passed matriculation. Does he know driving? If he doesn't possess a driving license, ask him to get it, I said. There was no trace of him for the next 3 months. I sent for him one evening. He came and told me that his son had learnt driving, but the officials were deliberately delaying to issue a driving license to him. I knew the RTO, who was also a tribe. I texted on his WhatsApp, requesting him to help the poor boy. As a result, he got the license in 2 days. I approached Canara Bank for loan and helped him to buy a tractor. I hired his tractor on a permanent basis to work in the university. I instructed the finance section to directly transfer the loan installment to the bank. Shivarathan started leading a contented life with his self-employment. I also hired Mohanlal Banjara's tractor on contract basis. His son got a job. Bhama was supplying small sand and gravel to our contractors. Lok Singh Marko, the headmaster of a government high school, hailing from Bharani village, often met me and requested me to give a job to his son. Once on the eve of Holi festival, I visited his house. He arranged Holi music for me as part of Holi celebration. His was a family with good land and cattle. I encouraged Om Prakash Marko to grow vegetables by installing 2 wells. As a result, Marko started supplying vegetables to the university vegetable shop and also to Rajendra Gram. I was happy to know that he gave employment to 4 people. The tribal university was a mini India. All the festivals of the country were celebrated with traditional pomp and glory in the university. Ugadi, Gudi Pavada, Sankranti, Navaratri, Utkal festival, Bodo festival, Pongal, Diwali, Holi, Bihu, Rangajoli, Bisagu, Battukamma festival, Telangana, Dandiya, Garba Nritya, Vishu, Kerala New Year, and Hiriali, Tija, UP and Bihar. All kinds of costumes and a variety of food festivals created a living world in the forest. Koyo Suyo, a traditional dance by the students of Kerala. Ronga Joli dance by Bodo students. Reena, Shaila, Suva, Karma dance. Karama, Dadrio, Pandavani song. Gondwani song by the main tribal artists. Bagdomba dance by the Bodo tribe. Kerai dance by the Bodo, and many more gave a national character to the university. The entire India was coming together here to create a better future for tomorrow. The tribal university was committed to building a new India for the Indians. This is Palash, a tribal theatre repertory. Palash, a tribal theatre repertory. I feel like reading the whole thing, but I don't do that. 1 or 2 extracts from the last chapter of this book. The title of the chapter is War of Anonymous Letters and Court Cases. There is a quote in the beginning. The time is out of joint. The time is out of joint, O cursed fight, that ever I was born to set it right. Hamlet, William Shakespeare. Ours was a hierarchical society in which people were stratified by their group membership and were ranked according to their relative status or authority. The roles of the individuals were clearly defined. The society as a whole was compartmentalized. The position of each individual was accordingly fixed in social, religious, political, and economic spheres. Anybody who dared to cross the boundaries of a fixed position and tried to rise above the traditional social role would have to face a violent opposition. It was a norm and law. Many proved that this epithetic law was fictitious. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Dr. Jaipal Singh Munda, Chunagar Singh Sham, Rani Gaidlu of Manipur, Gaura Devi of Chipko fame, Vasamalli Kartan of Toda tribe, Tulsi Munda of Odisha, Alma Grace Barla of Jharkhand, Asanta Lakra, Dr. Ram Dayal Munda, Professor Sukadev Thorat, Professor Bhalchand Mungekar, Dr. Narendra Jadhav, Professor Shamlal and others proved their mettle, going beyond all man-made boundaries and challenging the set norms of society. They proved that anyone with hard labor could achieve greatness. Dr. Ram Dayal Munda as Vice Chancellor of Ranchi University, Dr. Bhalchandra Mungekar as Vice Chancellor of the University of Mumbai, Dr. Nagendra Jadhav as Vice Chancellor of the University of Pune, Dr. Shamlal as Vice Chancellor of Jai Narayan Vyasa University, Jodhpur, built educational institutions of national repute by rising above the caste, religion and economic barriers. Dr. Bhalchandra Mungekar was, with his firm stand and resolute decision, brought order and discipline in the University of Mumbai, one of the biggest universities in the country. He ensured that the university examinations were conducted as per the schedule for the first time in the history of the university. None of these vice chancellors gave jobs or building contracts to their relatives. This is an interesting observation. So none of the above gave jobs or building contracts to their relatives, nor did they make money. They considered only merit to give jobs. They believed that it was the only quality that should matter, and it was only the quality that should help education sector to prosper. So why should we call them SC/ST Vice Chancellors? Wouldn't it suffice to call them great and efficient Vice Chancellors of India? I will read the last 3 paragraphs of the last chapter of this memoir. I have grown up experiencing all sorts of humiliation and pocketing insults until now. I have now reached a point where I can simply recollect agonies, forgive and forget. My journey from Alavandi via Gadar, Dharwad and Hyderabad up to Amarkantak was never a bed of roses. I am used to swallow insult and smile at it. It has become my nature to live with the people who hate me and who reject me. But I have always tried to extinguish the fire of hate in them. The people who have committed atrocious violence against me seem tired now and have backed away. But I am not tired at all. I am relentlessly moving forward in my life. The proverb, turn pain into power, has impressed me since my childhood. With a missionary gene, I must recruit the faculty and the non-teaching staff who don't manage to get jobs elsewhere and make them serve the tribal people with sincerity. I have lived my life more for the society than for myself. I have lived my life more for the society than for myself. I am quite happy and pleased with whatever my life has given me. I sometimes think that I have got more than what I deserved. At this stage in my life, I have just one goal to reach and one dream to realize. And this is to serve the tribes and the nation. I shall use whatever little power I possess as a person, as an academic, and or as Vice Chancellor for nation building. I have not finished yet. I take another 5 minutes. In fact, I was not very organized in my presentation today. I had something else in my mind. Otherwise, I would have marked the paragraphs that I was supposed to, read out, and you would have enjoyed more. Now, I don't have time to read all important paragraphs for the book, but I must tell you that every paragraph in this book you must read. You know, I will not say that there is not a single line which you can skip. You will not find a single line or a statement that you can skip. You will have to read all the lines and the words to understand the agony, the strength, the dedication of this wonderful Vice Chancellor that the nation has produced. He talks about the problems that he faced, how people created problems for him, how people hated him, and some people used to call him black category. This is a racism. In today's world, it is racism. People committed, extremely racist atrocity against the Vice Chancellor. I just give you one example and qualitative. I worked with him in Indira Gandhi National Tribal University as controller of examinations. He started the process to recruit some 80 non-teaching staff, 80. One day he called me and asked me, "You conduct the exam and announce the result." I said yes. Then he said, "But I have a piece of advice to give you. So please tell me. Number one, you should not appoint anybody who belongs to your community. Number two, you should not appoint any of your students. Number two. Number three, you should not give jobs to your relatives. You appoint anybody. Ultimately, he was to appoint, but he gave me the responsibility. I conducted the exam. I only conducted the exam. He never came to me and asked me what I was doing. I conducted the exam. I got all the scripts evaluated. I prepared the final result and I announced it. To tell you, so I could never imagine that there would be an institute in India where the Vice Chancellor would give all jobs only based on merited examination. I was very happy when he told me that you submit the list to administration, they will prepare the order copies and issue. Only based on their exam and skill test, he recruited 80 people and I was there. I was an eyewitness. Many people who joined me later came to me and said to me, "Sir, how was I appointed?" One person came to me and asked me, "Can you please tell me how was I appointed? I didn't know anybody here. I didn't come to you. I didn't go to Vice Chancellor. I didn't know any MLA, MP, and I didn't have money to give. Please tell me how was I appointed?" I said, "You must have faith in the essential goodness of man. India is a very rich country. It's a very rich country. There are bad people, but there are a lot of good people, and Professor Kattimani is one such good person." So I'm very glad that I have worked with him for as many as 27 years, and I'm also going to work with him for many years to come. He has been my mentor, and he has been my guide, friend, philosopher, everything. He calls me a friend, but for me, I don't call him a friend. But he is my philosopher, he is mentor. He is my elder brother, I can say. So I'm quite pleased with him, and I was to translate this book into English. I enjoyed the translation of this book, and I thank him. I also thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak to you about this book, and I must tell you that you are very fortunate. You are all very fortunate to have Professor Kattimani as your Vice Chancellor. I wish all the best to the university, to the students, and to all my young colleagues working in this wonderful university. Thank you so much.